Aza is here. Welcome again.
Thank you.
We were talking about the beginning of your first talk, Age of 10.
Yeah.
A little bit following on being exposed to what your dad was involved in. Incredibly interesting. After that, I started looking a little bit thorough into what you're up to.
Yeah.
And I ended up on Aza.wtf.
Yeah.
And I sort of read through, and there has been one line you wrote that really interested me. I'm gonna read it again to you. It says, "Technology isn't about making us superhuman; it's about making us extra human."
Yeah.
I like to just spend maybe most part of this interview a little bit about that, because it's interesting on many layers. The first, what do you define extra human and superhuman?
Yeah.
And how is the relationship of one versus the other?
Yeah. I think when we hear like superhuman, there's a certain kind of like escapism from like who we are as people. So we're trying to like, whereas extra human is really about saying like, what is technology really even for, right? Like, why do we make technology? And to me, it's about taking the parts of us which are most brilliant, like, and extending those. And that doesn't mean like brilliant in the sense of like an individual human brilliance. What I mean is like the things that we as a species are most brilliant at, right? Like music, art, creativity. And then when you start thinking about it in that perspective, what is technology? Well, a paintbrush is technology. Cellos are technology. And meditation is a kind of technology. These are things that take those parts of us that are most brilliant and extend them. And that makes us extra human, which is sort of a leaning into who we versus superhuman, which is in some ways taking us away from who we really are. It's trying to like fix and patch rather than deepen and extend.
A while back, I watched this interview with Steve Jobs, as a matter of fact. He was talking about the human with or without a bicycle when it comes to capacity of moving, right? And he was saying a human being without a bike, it's very, it's one of the lowest level of, in terms of like the way they can move around and reach a point to another. And I say the moment you give a man a bicycle combined with his brain, and it just bumps on top of the of that list. So in that sense, a bicycle is technology.
Well, a bicycle is absolutely technology. And in fact, it's a kind of technology that doesn't want anything for itself.
Exactly.
Right? Like it's similar to a hammer. A hammer isn't nagging you and being like, hey, when was the last time you picked me up? How many nails did you hammer today? A bicycle is a utility that extends us.
Okay.
And that's what I think technology should be about.
So the focus isn't at all just about computers, data, or now it's a topic of these days, but it could be anything that could really exploit, enhance
that's exactly right.
Our humanity.
That's exactly right. It's important, I think, to like open the camera aperture of what we think of as technology, so that we can like really design the kind of future we want to live in.
Yes. This leads me a little bit into the last sort of thing I found out about yourself. You were with another guy, former Google, Tristan.
Tristan Harris.
You created, as in you, I don't know if you're co-founder, but you're involved with the Center for Human Technologies. And I spent some time reading the website. It made me think, because I work as a designer, and so many times I help solving problems, like UX problems, but I never really ask myself, what is the ultimate goal of this thing I'm making easier? I'm letting, I'm solving this big calculator to make it easier to use. But what is it actually doing?
I think this is one of the fundamental mistakes I made as an early designer, was believing that by making something easy to use,
that'll be human.
That'll be good for humans and for humanity, and that's not the case, right? So when I was working on Infinite Scroll and invented that thing for the web, right? Like that is just a better interface. If you think about it, you're like, oh yeah. As a designer, every time you ask the user to perform a decision they don't care about, you failed. But
Am I really helping them?
Right, are you really helping them? Like I
Yeah.
was doing the calculation, like minimally we
Yeah.
waste, like just that one interface, like minimally waste 200,000 human lifetimes per day.
Yeah.
And when it's used to weaponize, like when we as designers know fundamental truths about how the human mind works, and we can use those to help or to exploit.
Totally.
Yeah.
So just to wrap this, I want to know some. I'm intrigued. I decided when I read the website that okay, maybe I'll try next time to make it a little bit more towards what's fair or on a more ethical usage of what we do or the problems we solve. But do you or could you share any sort of simple rule of thumb we could plug and play from tomorrow, or maybe always stop and ask yourself, okay, some sort of compass or coordinates we could follow?
Yeah. I mean,
To become more aware.
One of the most interesting things I find is that a lot of the executives making the products that we all use send their kids to schools where they don't use the technology their parents make, right? Where they don't let their kids use the products they're making because they know the effects. And so I think a really good rule of thumb is, would you want your kid to have this? And at what age? And I think that just sort of like starts to click it in a little bit.
Yeah. It's interesting. When I was a kid, I got my computer. I got it. I was I don't know. I think I was 12 or 11.
Yeah.
And my mom, at the day, believes that I'm doing this job because I've been exposed to computers that early.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of discussion on we are kids used to play in the courtyards before. Now they play alone in front of a computer.
Yeah.
So. Well, that surely starts a conversation.
Yeah.
How about, to be more close to what the Center for Human Technology is doing? How could we, what's next for that? Like, what is the agenda for?
I mean, it's really about systems change, right? Because to affect the direction technology is moving, you have to go from pixels all the way up policy.
Yeah.
And one of the ideas I'm most excited about, and we're most excited about right now, is the idea of a fiduciary. And I'll talk about it later today.
Okay.
But briefly, there are two kinds of relationships in law. One kind of relationship is that between equals, and these are things like NDAs and leases and just contracts. There's another kind, which is a fiduciary, when one party has an asymmetric power over the other. Like your doctor. You have to tell the doctor your weaknesses in order for them to fix you. Therapists, the same thing. And in fact, it's illegal for therapists to sleep with their clients.
Okay.
Because all that information you could use the therapist could use to exploit.
Against them.
Right? And when you look at what Facebook and Google know about us, they know strictly
way more
than our therapists. And so while they've been masquerading as an equal relationship, which is why we all click through those
it's all
lists,
free and
it's actually a fiduciary, and when you're a fiduciary, that means you have to act in the other's best interest.
Yeah.
That's the change I think we need to see, and
Very
so
interesting.
I'm really excited about that at a policy level.
That's what's going to be a little bit on the menu for this evening talk, 8 o'clock.
Exactly.
We really look forward, and I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was great.